Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Husker Huddle. I'm your host, Jeremiah Searles, here at the Husker Sports Network. Today, we're joined by my former neighbor, actually, that I lived in college with here, former defensive lineman, Cam Meredith. Cam, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying the last few days of summer as we switch to fall here in Nebraska. Weird fall here, no football, not gearing up for football. I mean, last year I was getting the last weekend I was getting the notifications for last time this year you're at your first game, and it's a weird feeling here, but it's good that the weather's starting to change. But how are things out there in California, man? How have you been?
It's pretty good. I started a construction company out here and do some real estate. So I've been pretty busy, and I'm from California, so it's good to be back. I obviously enjoyed Nebraska when I was out there, but this is my home. This is where my family's at, and obviously weather's been great, and it's always great.
So, yeah, you pay for your weather out there. I remember when I was with the Chargers out there, it was just I got sunburned on Christmas Eve, and I was like, this isn't right. But so you left Nebraska and you moved back to California. Kind of what have the steps for you been since you've transitioned really out of football and into the business world now? You graduated, I think, 1 year before me, 2012, if I recall. What have you been doing over the past decade almost? I mean, it's crazy to think we're getting old, Cam. But kind of what has been the established or the line of what you've led to now?
Yeah, good question. So I've kind of had an interesting career path. Obviously, throughout my whole life, I was playing football and never really knew what I wanted to do. So after college, after I was done with football, I was actually working with my dad. He owns a security event management company. So I was working a lot of music festivals, concerts, managing stage, stuff like that. That was cool, but I didn't want to really be in that industry just because it was late nights and it's kind of sporadic and you're around a bunch of drunk people. So it wasn't really for me. And I decided to go into management. And so I was managing an entire Sears, and then realized I was good at it, but I hated retail. So I actually left that, started doing solar sales because it's pretty big in California. And then at that point, when I was doing solar, I got my real estate license. And then for the past 4 years, I've been doing real estate. And then during that time, it was mostly just residential. I was working with homeowners and investors. And then after that, I decided, hey, we get a lot of construction leads. I can start doing a lot of construction. So I partnered up with a couple partners who have been doing construction for about 10, 15 years. And it took me to where we're at now, where we do real estate and we build custom homes, and we also build ADUs, which stands for accessory dwelling unit. And it's a niche here in California because we're very tight on housing, especially in these bigger cities. So what people are doing is they're converting their garages into apartments. So we'll go in, we'll convert that detached garage, or we'll build just a freestanding unit in their backyard. So it's pretty interesting, and it changes the game for real estate. So that's kind of what I do now, and that's my niche, is building those ADUs.
Dude, that's awesome. I love getting caught back up with guys that I played football with when I was here and seeing really how they've moved on in life. I mean, so few people get to actually go into the NFL, and we have so many former guys that have gone and been incredibly successful at a lot of other things. I had Blake Lawrence on the show a couple of weeks back, and he talked about things. I mean, watching you over via social media and how you've grown and how you've been has been really fun. It's interesting that how did Nebraska really prepare you? And I mean, really, you were Pelini staff the whole time like I was. I mean, do you still take things from what you learned here from Nebraska and really the football program in particular and really helped you shape into your professional career once you moved on?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's ingrained in who I am, and that goes from all the way, as little league, high school, but especially college, as you said. I think Bo ran a pretty tight program as far as accountability and not putting up with a lot of BS. And I think that helped me just realize, to be very structured, to be on time, do the little things, which are really important. And surprisingly enough, that holds true in the business world, because you'd be surprised at how many people don't call people back, how many people don't respond to an email. And it's all these little things where if I see that in someone, it's like, nah, sorry, I think, it's not going to work out because you don't operate that way, So it's definitely helped me instill my business, mindset and just how I approach the day. I always have a schedule. I always have a plan. I always hold myself accountable. I have people hold me accountable. So yeah, I've learned a lot from football, and specifically Bo and his staff.
Yeah, I think that that's one thing people understand, and I'm learning it now as I'm transitioning out of football too, is not everyone is focused on the details all the time. And I think
Oh,
that it drives me insane. And I think I have to check myself. Like in football, if you're not focused on the details all the time, like you're going to get beat and cost the team. And like, so you really have that accountability from other people. And I've learned kind of as you transition into different career paths, that's like someone doesn't respond to an email or someone doesn't call you back. Like they're not worried about it, but it like drives me insane.
yeah, same here. It's just like I honestly, I would say like 70 to 75% of people are just lazy or just do the bare minimum. You know,
Absolutely.
might seem high, but that's my number out here, at least in California.
Oh yeah, well California's a different breed, man. As far as we asked a lot of the people that are going through OTAs and stuff, guys in the NFL, how COVID has really affected them and how they've had to really kind of adapt and overcome. I'm sure that COVID has affected you guys in a lot of different ways. How have you had to maybe adapt and overcome some obstacles over these last 6 months of with the government shutdown? I mean, California, you guys are still really shut down. Like, what are some things that you've been able to do to keep yourself going here?
You know, it was hard. The first like 2 months during the whole real lockdown, real estate was kind of shut off.
Hmm.
So it did put a strain on the market. Like right now, inventory is down 30% in Orange County year over year. So people are afraid to sell their homes, and there's still a lot of buyers. So for us, it's a weird real estate market. And during that time, we had to obviously sit down and figure out what we were going to do. Luckily, we still had a lot of these construction jobs going, and that kind of kept us afloat. And then we saw after that 2 month lockdown, things started to ease up and get back to normal. So for us, at first, it was a little adjustment. It still is. I mean, when you do real estate showings, you have to sign papers before you get in. You have to wear gloves, booties, all this stuff. I mean, I get it, you know, but it's just a pain in the butt. And unfortunately, that's kind of what we have to do now. But California is obviously more lockdown friendly, and I think people here are getting a little sick of it. I mean, I get the whole situation, but I'm telling you, I hear local business owners and people talking all the time, and at some point, you know, it's a little much here in California, at least in my opinion.
No, I think everyone here in the Heartland agrees with you, Cam. You're a Midwest boy at heart, and we love you for it. One thing I
Yeah.
want to talk about a little Husker football here as we switch gears. Again, no fall here in Nebraska. It's a weird thing, and I think that there's been a lot of news going on in the Big Ten as far as, I mean, Trump's said that he called Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren came out, said with the lawsuit coming from Nebraska. I mean, what do you think the impact is? And you just touched on a little bit about business owners and stuff. Is now that you're in the business world, that football's so much more here than just 11 on 11 inside Memorial Stadium. It's the lifeblood for a lot of these businesses. I mean, imagine, like, what do you think is going to happen to areas like the Haymarket and O Street? Like, do you think Lincoln can survive a fall without football?
I do, you know, and you know, I think the Big Ten has to figure out what they're going to do at some point. I mean, you have, you know, mostly every other major conference playing. We're just one of the ones that are not. So I think for a town like Lincoln, I think it'll be fine. You know, I think a lot of people still like to go out and support local business in Lincoln, especially that downtown area. It's a very good community like that. So I think they'll be okay. Obviously, it's going to be a big adjustment, and you know, people are going to feel weird not having football, you know, the first few months of fall. But I think, you know, again, they'll figure it out. I think football will eventually come. It's just a matter of, you know, when that is.
I mean, we hope it comes. I think the earliest we saw maybe late October, Thanksgiving start. But let's fast forward and say we do start in Thanksgiving. What are you expecting to see out of this? You're 1 year farther removed than I am from this football team, but you told me a little bit. You still watch them. Still a big Husker fan. I mean, we're a part of special fraternity. We wore that N on the side of our helmets. Year 3 Scott Frost program, new defense, new defensive coordinators, no defensive linemen all over the place. You're a former defensive lineman. What are you looking for, especially from the black shirts here in year 3 of Scott Frost?
You know, I would just say this. I believe in Scott Frost. I think obviously I think he knows what he's doing. It does take a while to get things going, and I think he can turn it around, and I see that. And I think the most important thing is culture, and breeding that culture, that winning culture. And I think he's trying to do that, and I think he'll be okay. But again, it's the program. It did take a little step back, as we know, during that Riley era. And that's pretty much what I can say. I do believe in Scott Frost. I believe in his coaches, his picks for coaches, and I think he'll get us on the right path.
I agree. I think everywhere in Huskerland agrees with you. I think everyone was excited to see what we could get on the field here this fall. But I mean, as you know, I think that this little bit of development time that like maybe we can sneak in here, if season really isn't until October, might benefit this Nebraska young football team. I mean, they got a lot of pieces that need development, and so no spring ball, kind of a limited fall camp, that was going to hurt us. But I mean, you played as a young guy, I played as a young guy. How hard is it to really go out there when the bullets are flying as a redshirt freshman and trying to get your feet wet, but also needing and feeling that pressure to contribute when you're on the field?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, when you're a lot of these guys are 18 years old, 19 years old, playing with grown men. I mean, it's totally different. So I agree with you. I think that if they have more time to prepare, that could be definitely a huge benefit for us, especially with a lot of these young guys. I mean, again, I don't follow too closely. I do know we have a lot of young players that need to develop. But yeah, I would totally agree that that extra time we can get better, and we should get better.
Absolutely. Well, Cam, we appreciate you joining us here on Husker Huddle here on the Husker Sports Network. We're excited to keep continuing up, and we'll be catching up with you soon. It's awesome to hear your story, kind of where you've grown, how you've grown since you've left here in Nebraska. We wish you to stay safe out there in California during these times and hope that things can get back to normal for you. Anything else you'd like to say to Husker Nation before you head out?
No worries. I'll be back for a game this year, hopefully. And Jeremiah, I'll come see you and your family and your dog and your newborn and all that. So I can't wait to go out. If you're ever out here, let me know. I'd love to see you guys. I know your wife's from California,
Yep.
So I'd love to see you guys.
Absolutely, man. Next time you're here, we'll bring up the glory days from when we used to live next to each other. Maybe throw a few garage parties.
Yeah, we have to. I didn't get into too much detail here because this is rated PG, but there's a lot of rated, R stuff.
It happens. College is a fun time. So we thank you for joining us here, Cam. We'll catch you guys next week here on Husker Huddle.
Okay, see you, man.